The air in Chamber 7 shimmered faintly with multispectrum translation fields, adjusting for a dozen alien physiologies. Ambassador Siraveth stood near the center dais, her elongated, iridescent form reflecting the ambient blue light. Her species, the Vethari, had survived for millennia through diplomacy, not strength. They avoided conflict. They survived by knowing when to yield. And right now, her instinct screamed yield. Across the chamber stood a human. He looked deceptively simple. No exoskeleton. No adaptive camouflage. No psychic field. No bioweapon symbiotes. Just a man. Ambassador Elias Kane. The translation field rendered in a neutral tone. He stood with his hands loosely at his sides, eyes scanning the room. Not nervously, but calculating. That was the first unsettling thing. The second was what stood behind him. Nothing. No guards. No escorts. No visible protection. The gathered delegates whispered among themselves, clicking mandibles, vibrating membranes, pulsing bioluminescent patterns. A lone human, unarmed, in a chamber filled with apex predators and empire builders. It was either arrogance or something worse. Siraveth stepped forward. "Human," she said, her voice a soft harmonic chord. "You have been granted temporary audience. State your purpose quickly." Kane smiled faintly. "I'm here to negotiate." A ripple of unease spread through the chamber. The Karzul warlord, a towering mass of chitin and blade-like limbs, let out a harsh, clicking laugh. "Negotiate," the translation field echoed. "Your species barely holds a single system. You come alone, without fleet or leverage. What exactly do you think you can negotiate with?" Kane didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked around the room, meeting each species' gaze in turn. Then he said quietly, "Your survival." Silence. Not the polite silence of diplomacy. The dangerous kind. Siraveth felt a chill ripple along her spine. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. She stepped closer to Kane, lowering her voice. "You don't understand the situation you're in," she said softly. "These beings, they do not tolerate threats." Kane glanced at her. "I'm not threatening them." He paused. "I'm warning them." Before she could respond, the chamber doors slammed shut. A heavy, metallic clang echoed through the room. The lighting dimmed, and a new presence entered. Middle, the predator arrives. The temperature dropped instantly. Even species that thrived in vacuum extremes reacted. From the shadows at the far end of the chamber, something moved. It wasn't large. That was the first thing that made it terrifying. It was precise. A tall, slender figure stepped into the light, its body shifting like liquid shadow, its edges never fully defined. The chamber recognized it instantly. The translation field flickered, struggling then stabilized. Designation: Velkorath Hunter. A collective gasp, if such a thing could exist across species. The Velkorath. They weren't an empire. They weren't a civilization. They were a phenomenon. A species that did not negotiate, did not ally, did not retreat. They appeared, consumed, and vanished. Entire systems had gone dark after their arrival. The hunter tilted its head, observing the room. Then its voice came, soft, layered, and impossibly cold. "You gather. You speak. You pretend to hold power." It stepped forward. No longer. The Karzul warlord lunged first. It didn't hesitate. It never did. Its blade limbs struck with enough force to cleave armored starships. The hunter moved once. Just once. A blur. The warlord stopped mid-strike. For a moment, nothing happened. Then its body separated. Cleanly. Silently. It collapsed in two perfect halves. Panic erupted. Weapons deployed. Energy fields flared. Psychic barriers activated. None of it mattered. The hunter moved again. And again. Each movement precise. Efficient. Final. Siraveth froze. Her mind raced through every survival protocol her species had ever developed. None applied. This was not a situation that could be negotiated. This was extinction. She turned to Cain. "Run," she whispered urgently. "You must run now. There is nothing you can do here." He didn't move. "Human," she hissed, panic rising. "Do you understand what that is? It will kill you last, just to observe." "I know what it is," Cain said calmly. The hunter stopped. It turned its attention to him. For the first time since it entered, it hesitated. Siraveth felt something shift in the room. A subtle change. Like gravity adjusting. The hunter spoke again. "You are different." Cain nodded slightly. "Yeah," he said. "We get that a lot." The hunter stepped closer. "You do not flee." "Nope. You do not attack." "Not yet." The hunter tilted its head further. "Explain." Siraveth grabbed Cain's arm. "Please," she said, her voice trembling. "You cannot reason with it. You will die." Cain looked at her and smiled. Not with arrogance, not with fear, but with something far more dangerous. Certainty. Then he stepped forward, toward the hunter. "The answer that changed the room, you're hunting," Cain said. The hunter remained still. "Yes." "You've been hunting for a long time." A pause. "Yes." "You've never encountered something you couldn't kill." Another pause. "No," Cain nodded. "Yeah," he said softly. "That tracks." Siravetha's grip tightened. "What are you doing?" she whispered. Cain didn't look back. Instead, he said the words that would echo across the galaxy for generations. "I'm not going to run." The room seemed to freeze. Even the hunter stilled completely. "Because," Cain continued, his voice steady, "if I run, you'll follow." He took another step forward. "And if you follow, you'll find Earth." The hunter's form shifted subtly. Interest. "And if you find Earth," Cain said, "you won't just be hunting anymore." Silence. Total. Absolute. The hunter spoke, slower now. "Clarify." Cain's eyes hardened. "You'll be invading." A ripple of tension spread through the chamber. "And that," Cain said quietly, "would be a mistake." The hunter leaned closer. "Why?" Cain finally smiled. This time it wasn't friendly. "Because we're not prey." A beat. "We're the thing that survives predators." Escalation. The demonstration, the hunter moved. Faster than before. A strike aimed directly at Cain's throat. Siraveth screamed. But Cain moved too. Not faster. Not stronger. Just enough. He caught the hunter's limb mid-strike. The room gasped. For a moment, the two stood locked together. Predator and something else. The hunter pushed. Cain didn't break. Didn't falter. Instead, he twisted. A sharp, controlled motion. And for the first time in recorded history, the Velkorth hunter stumbled. Just one step. But it was enough. The room changed. The balance shifted. The hunter straightened slowly. "You resist." Cain rolled a shoulder. "Yeah," he said. "We do that." The hunter circled him now. Not attacking. Observing. Analyzing. "You are not the strongest," it said. "Nope." "You are not the fastest." "Nope." "You are not the most advanced." Cain smirked. "Definitely not." A pause. "Then why?" the hunter asked. "Are you not dead?" Cain shrugged. "Because we don't quit." Climax. The truth of humanity, the chamber's systems flickered as the hunter's presence intensified. It was thinking. Deeply. "You evolve." it said. Fast. Kane nodded.
Yeah.
Survival does that. You endure. Yep. You adapt. Every time. The hunter leaned closer. And if I hunt your world? Kane's expression didn't change. Then you won't be hunting, he said. You'll be at war. The hunter's form pulsed. Explain the difference. Kane's voice dropped.
Low. Certain.
Hunting ends when the prey is gone. A pause. War ends when one side refuses to die. Silence.
The hunter processed that.
Around them, the surviving delegates watched, frozen in place. For the first time, they weren't looking at the hunter. They were looking at the human. Ending of a new understanding, the hunter stepped back. Slowly, deliberately. You are dangerous. Kane nodded. Yeah, he said. But we try not to be. Another pause. You would fight endlessly. Kane's gaze didn't waver. We already have. The hunter turned away, its form beginning to dissolve into shadow. This system is not worth the cost. Relief flooded the chamber. But your world, the hunter continued. Siraveth's breath caught. Is interesting. Kane tilted his head. Yeah, he said. It is. The hunter paused one final time. We will not hunt you. A beat. We will observe. And then, it was gone. Aftermath. The chamber remained silent for a long time. No one moved. No one spoke. Finally, Siraveth turned to Kane. You, she struggled to find the words. You stood against it. Kane exhaled slowly.
Yeah.
You could have died. He shrugged.
Yeah.
Why didn't you run? Kane looked around the chamber. At the survivors. At the remains of those who hadn't been fast enough. Then he said simply, because someone had to stay. Siraveth stared at him. And in that moment she understood. Humans weren't the strongest. They weren't the fastest. They weren't the most advanced. But they were something far more terrifying. They were the species that looked at a predator and chose not to run. Epilogue. The declaration weeks later, across the coalition, a single message spread. A formal classification update. Humanity, not a developing species. Not a minor power. Designation, Deathworlder Apex Survivor, and beneath it, a single recorded statement from Ambassador Elias Kane. If you're looking for easy prey, keep moving. A pause. Because if you find us, the message ended with a quiet, steady voice.